Let me start recording. Sorry. So we're going to do buyer mastery today. One of the things agents like to do, we start working with buyers, and I've seen this over and over and over. We get so busy with buyers that we start treating them not exactly like buyers anymore. We kind of turn into robots with them. And people get more and more frustrated working with buyers because it's harder and harder and harder to sell homes. So I like to say it's easier when you just follow the rules and you treat all the buyers the same way as far as what they deserve. Now, I always like to touch bases on this. The buyers actually can pretty much pull up the internet and buy a house these days. Sometimes they don't need an agent to represent them. Now, of course, you and we all understand the reasons that a buyer needs representation. But picture yourself, if you were a buyer and you did not know and nobody told you, you would just think, oh, I'm pulling a house up on Realtor.com and I'm going to call the agent with the sign in front. I'm going to buy the house. A lot of times they're not as scared as we like to think about how important an agent is. But what we want to do is we want to get loyalty from buyers, because let's be honest, we will jump through backflips, stupid trash trucks out front. We will jump through anything, any hoops for a buyer if they're loyal. But since we always have that weird feeling in our tummy that they're not loyal, we try to take shortcuts, and we just don't do all the things we're supposed to be doing. So I learned very quickly at a very young age in my career a couple tips and tricks that I thought were just kind of normal. And then as a broker of a few hundred agents, and I started working with people, I realized that maybe it just wasn't as easy as I thought. So I started teaching it. We're going to jump right in. At least I think I'm going to. So conversion is key, right? I don't think we need a picture of me on every slide. That's one thing I forgot to change. All right. So conversion is super huge. And you guys know by now that I'm a big scripts guy. And I think the other day on a different call, we actually did some buyer conversion scripts. So I'll start this right now for homework on our YouTube channel. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, they're pretty old. There's 1 through 5 buyer conversion scripts and 1 through 3 seller conversion scripts. To this day, my favorite thing to say to people is, hey, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, how serious are you buying a home? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you want to buy a home right now, 1 being a home, ask questions like, how serious are you? And if you found the perfect home, would you buy it today? And that's pretty simple question. They go, yeah, if I found a home, I'd buy it today. Great. The reason I ask, and this is the most powerful thing I've ever said, is because if you're serious, we have a list of off-market properties. Sometimes they're pre-foreclosures, sometimes they're pre-short sales, sometimes they're just really good deals that haven't hit the market yet. And we network with agents all day, every day. And we have a huge list of things that we do to find homes that aren't on the market. Primarily, the reason we do this is because we want to help our buyers avoid bidding wars and multiple offers and uncomfortable situations. Does that make sense? When you say that to somebody, if they truly want to buy a home, what are they going to say? They're going to say, yeah, I want that list. And it's up to us as agents to have that list. The list is pretty simple. It doesn't matter where you get it. You can get it from Zillow. You can get it from network groups. And if you don't have network groups there, you should probably start some. But basically, if you're doing your job and calling, texting, and emailing all the agents throughout the community, you're going to find this huge off-market list. There's Facebook groups, and I don't want to get in the debate right now about advertising off-market properties. Some of you on this call know me. I'll punch a hole through my computer if I have to have that conversation too much longer. But I believe in pocket listings. I'm going to list a condo right now after this meeting, and it's a nice condo. There's not one other one on the market. But how many agents do you think out there would like to know that property's available? Yeah, I mean, of course they do. That's our job, is to find properties, right? So the scripts on that, super easy to find. It's super easy to practice, but you got to practice and internalize them. This is my favorite thing to say. Be human. Sometimes when we take our scripts and role playing, we take it to this weird level of where we turn into a robot. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, would you like to, and you're just like, you're a great agent. You're a great person. Everybody loves you. You're typically a amiable or high eye, and people just love to converse with you. But for some reason, if it's a new buyer and it wasn't a referral, we get nervous and we start really talking like a robot, and it's pathetic. Like, we got to really pay attention and just say, look, these are humans. And what do they say? They put pants on one leg at a time, like we do. They're just people, and they're probably very nice people. I've traveled this whole world, and generally people are pretty nice no matter where you go. If they trust you and they don't feel like you're BSing them, they will open up and they will let you into their worlds. So be human with the people. Just talk to them like you would too. We talked a little bit about, no, I talked a lot about personality styles a couple of weeks ago. You can't talk to a potential buyer unless you know their personality style. You have to be very neutral, and based on their conversation, find out what their personality style is so you can work with them one-on-one. It's no different than a listing presentation where at the end of the listing they go, oh, that was very nice, thanks for coming over, do you have a card? And they end up listing with your competitor. Buyers are no different. If they don't feel that connection with you, if they don't feel like they could be buddies with you and trust you, they're not going to use you. And it's just simply because you didn't match and mirror their personality style. I love to find things in common with people. Buyers, no matter what, have something in common with you. And it's Ford, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. If you have those conversations with people, you're going to find out your kids are similar age. You went to the same school. You have friends that are mutual. There's all these different things that you can find in common. And when you find something in common with somebody, it's much easier to keep that relationship growing and building. When you talk about their hobbies, like, when you're buying this home, do you want a big yard, a small yard? Do you want RV parking? Do you want cul-de-sac? Why do you want all these things? And that's where you're going to find out exactly what you have in common with them. And obviously the most typical things are kids and schools and whatnot, but I try to go a little deeper with people. Like, why do you want such a big yard? Oh, my kids love to do this. Or why do you want to be so private? Oh, I want to do that. Or why do you not want a big yard? It's just all these questions that you're going to ask people in the interview process. That's where you're going to find that stuff. Creating urgency is a real thing. And a lot of agents in my past have debated this too. Well, Mike, if you create urgency, sometimes people are going to think you're just trying to scam them into hurrying, and there's something bad that's going to happen to them if they don't. Well, I'll say one thing. There is urgency in real estate because you know as well as I do, if their dream home is on the market today, somebody else might call that their dream home too and take it away. So when you say, and you should say, I've seen X amount of homes in your price range that are absolutely perfect or not perfect, whatever it is, but there's always one or two perfect homes for them. And it's just very simple. When you talk about their dream home and you talk about taking that away from them, people get a little frustrated. They're like, whoa, wait, I don't want I don't want somebody to take my dream home. And you could say, that's just kind of weird. You called and I just happened to preview property last week. And I think this house is still available, but it's got everything you've ever wanted and more. I would, for as of right now, without you seeing it, I'd say it could be your dream home. When can you go see that home before somebody else gets it? When somebody says that to me, I'll give you a perfect example. Over the weekend, I bought a beach house in Ventura with my partner, John. And it is the listing agent's just thing that they say is, oh yeah, I have a lot of activity. There might be another offer. Well, I wasn't sure if there was another offer, but I did write 10 grand over and we did get the property. And it's just like when I bought my house, there was multiple offers on it and I paid $100,000 over list price for my home because I didn't want to lose it. And I'm a pretty emotional type of guy, but I just don't want to lose things. And most humans don't either. Give them what they want. So the reason Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, and Redfin are these amazingly traveled websites, it's because buyers really in the beginning only want one thing, and that's a house. They don't care how good you are. They don't care how experienced you are. They don't even care that you want to represent them better and more genuinely than the next agent. What they want is to see homes. And many of you haven't seen what it's like to have, quadruple inventory, what we've had on the market right now. But I remember back even in those days when we had, like, in our town, we have like under 400 listings and it should be well above 1,500. But even back when it was like that, the buyers were still relentless in this pursuit. They never really got tired of seeing homes. It was like fun for them. So if you don't have property for them, they're not going to work with you. So you can't just call them and say, I'm checking in. How are you doing? Are you ready yet? You have to call them with the property. It's like when I'm looking, like right now, for example, I'm looking for another Jeep because my son took my Jeep. And I want one, don't get me wrong. I'm exhausted trying to find the one that I want. But when these salespeople call me, because I'm just as stupid as anybody else, I click on all the buttons and I forget that I'm going to have all these guys calling me. But the reality is, if they call, and I'm going through this right now, so it's very real for me. They're like, hey, are you looking to buy that Jeep still? Yes. Why don't you come in and I'll sell you one? I'm like, well, do you have the one that I want? And I'm pretty specific because I want a one-touch roof that just goes like an automatic sunroof. That's one thing that I have to have. I will not budge on that. And the second thing is there's this weird package that's called Sun and Fun. It's got the bigger screen in it, and it's just got all the things that I want in my Jeep. Those are the only two things. So if you call me and you don't have that, I'm not going to come to your dealership. I'm not going to mess around with that. But if you have that and you call me and say, I have it, Mike, I have this package, I have that roof, and it's white, all the things that I want, you bet your butt I'm going to come. So it doesn't make sense to follow up with buyers unless you have, I mean, initially, yes, but unless you have inventory for them, don't bother calling them unless it's really something crazy, like a really neat loan program or something they've been looking for. But I don't want to beat that to death, but it's really important. So let's talk about follow-up. So as a realtor, we have to understand 80% of the people you talk to are not going to be a buyer that time, right? 20% of those people are only going to buy a home from you, and they're only ready to go now. And they're only ready to go now if you're a really good agent and you're saying all the right things. I believe conversion is less than 3 and 4%, simply because the agents don't know what to say, they don't know how to act, and they don't know how to mirror and match personalities. But back in the day when I was on the phones all day, every day with internet leads, I would convert 2 out of 10. If they answered the phone and they came out of my database, I would convert them first time, 20% of the time. So let's talk about that. 80% after 7 to 10 contacts. And this is even a pretty good number. This is pretty optimistic, because what we're learning now is sometimes it could take, 11 months to 16 months. It could take 11 to 16 contacts. It's getting more and more because more and more people are looking at the internet. So the thing I'm trying to say is you can't be frustrated when you're not converting buyers instantly. You got to talk to 10 to convert 1 or 2. And that's just the rule of thumb. Video is everything. I would not talk to buyers unless it was video messages, and I recommend BombBomb. And it's just a simple app on your phone. And just say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I have a home for you. It's got RV parking. It's been remodeled. Seems to be about 5 to 10% under market. It's only been on the market 1 day. Give me a call. Those are the types of follow-ups that I would do with video. Email, same thing. Make sure you put a BombBomb link or some sort of whatever video platform you're going to use. But I like the email. I like sending them the automatic emails. Yeah, we use Ylopo, but you could also use the MLS. And I noticed, and I was informed that our team was using that too, not only for the buyers, but for themselves. And I've always CC'd myself on those emails. And I'll talk to you about a little bit more about that later. We don't have to beat the CRM to death. Add value. What are you going to do to add value for these clients? Like what makes you different? Are you available till midnight every night? Are you available on the weekends? Do you have a unique selling proposition maybe for them? Maybe you give them a $500 credit towards their move. Maybe you pay for their home warranty. What other kind of value do you add as an agent? And other programs and apps. So for example, if you're an EXP agent, you get this app called Millions Mapped. And I didn't think nothing of it at first, but I've been playing with it more and more with other agents as we attract them to the company. But when you meet a buyer that they trust you, this app you can send to them straight from your phone or from your KV Core, And it's a pretty cool app. And what I've been finding out is a lot of people will stay off of Zillow and stay off of Trulia and Redfin when you give them an app, and it depends on how you present it, right? So what other interesting program are you going to use that delivers a pleasurable experience for these people when looking at homes? Again, that's the other reason I love Ylopo, because their viewing experience and their experience going through the program and the properties is really easy, and it's kind of fun compared to some of the other programs I've seen. So think about some of those apps that you're using that add value or don't. And of course, give them that they want properties. All right, so let's go into our presentation. There is a buyer mastery video on our YouTube channel. So this will be number 2 of homework. Number 1 was go through the conversion scripts on the YouTube channel. And number 2 is watch the buyer mastery presentation. There's actually part 1 and part 2. And I take a client, pretend client, through the entire initial phone call, all the way to the presentation at the office and put them on a contract. Yes, it's not perfect because I was in front of 50 people with a video camera on me, so it was a little stressful, but you get the idea from this video, and it's helped a lot of agents really start nailing their buyer presentations. I always like it at the office. I do believe in the Club Wealth way. Make sure you set the appointment the second the phone call's in at the property, but then you have to have enough value propositions to make them want to come to your office and sit down like a professional. If I have to meet with my attorney, I'm going there. If I have to meet with my CPA, I'm going there. When I have to meet with my doctor, I'm going there. It's no different for a real estate agent. If they believe you bring the value and professionalism, they're going to come to your office. Excuse me. And you're going to need to tell them things like, I have what you want. I have these properties. And we're going to go over it. Of course, you want to have a lender there at all times if possible. And you could even talk to them about that and say, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, part of my listing or my buyer presentation is I have a lender there, and that they're there for you, because you might be pre-qualified. You might have talked to your credit union or something. But one of the benefits of working with our lender, which is free and no obligation for you, is typically they could save you $300 to $500 a month because they offer loan programs that nobody else does. So we'll probably go over that briefly, depending on their motivation and the way they answer that. That's how you're going to know to bring your lender in and have them really sit there or not. With the COVID thing going on, obviously I get it, it's a little different, but we're going to just talk like we're not going through that right there for that part. Go over buyer brokerage. I like going over buyer brokerage. And if I was putting people in my car, I promise you, I would have them sign a buyer brokerage agreement, because I'm not going to go to a listing and walk out without a listing agreement signed. And in my mind, buyers are no different. And I know this is hard for a lot of you, and it's even hard for my team. Just, if you believe that you deliver that much value and you really try to be that good of an agent, people will sign that with you. And there's a lot of scripts, and we could even, if you guys wanted to, we could even go over another class just on buyer representation and agency, because it's fun. Once you have a buyer that has signed a listing agreement, they're not going to anybody else. And you guys got to realize that. They might call somebody, but they're going to tell the agents, oh yeah, and I've trained them to do so. Mike Bjorkman is my agent. As a matter of fact, I have an agency agreement with that person. So blank, whatever they're going to say, whether it's I want to come to your open house or I'm just getting information on the property. They like that too. By the time you're done, now they can say, I have an agent, and please deliver all your great information to my agent. We'll go over that later. Go over the team. Team's very important too. Like, I have buyer's agents. I have showing agents. I have people that help me when I'm out of town on weekends or at nights. And I also have people that help me with transactions, and I have people that help me with pre-qualifications. If you don't show the value of that up front, oh, and by the way, our buyer presentation should be done in the next week or two. I mean, you can Google them; they're all over the place. But I think we've made a pretty good one we're gonna be able to share with the group. So go over the team. Don't just surprise them and say, oh, here's my random transaction coordinator or lender or whatever. Make sure you really show them there is a team. It does take a small tribe to sell a house, because we know it does. The process, go over the process, of course. And I just simply, and you'll see that in the video. Here's step 1. Here's step 2. Here's step 3. And these are the steps we're going to take you through even before you get in the car, or once you go in the car, or when we have seen homes. And I'm going to go through that in a second as well. Driving by homes is a absolute must for me. I can't believe how many times I've put somebody in my car and battled with the agent trying to make a showing. We pull up and the buyer says, no, I don't really like this neighborhood. We'll skip this one. I'm like, all right, you have no idea what I did to make this appointment, Mr. and Miss Smith. You're going in this house, whether you like it or not, just because I made such a big deal out of getting you in. You know, I kind of laugh about it, but that's real. So if I have a buyer, I say, here's 10 homes, right? Here's 10 homes that fit your criteria. I'm going to narrow it down to 5 based on what your wants and needs are. After I've chosen these 5, I want you to drive by them and pick 2 or 3 out. Drive by first and pick 2 or 3 out. And it's kind of funny how they do weed 2 or 3 out when you give them 5 to choose from. And then those are the homes that we're going to show them. So just because you have properties doesn't mean you're going to go spend 3-4 hours a day on a Saturday or a Sunday. I mean, realistically, you shouldn't need to spend more than an hour showing property at any time, unless you work a rural area that's really far spread out. Then obviously it's a little bit different. But the drive-bys are the most important thing. And one thing, well, not one, a lot of things that I thank God that I met Mike Ferry when I was 19 years old. This was like the #1 game changer. Like, always drive by people. Flexible schedule. This is the thing about working with buyers. You must have a team or a flexible schedule. So many times, and you guys are going to get mad at me for saying this, but so many times I have simply convinced a buyer to get into my car and not their agent's car. Why? Because I was more flexible. Oh, my agent's not available today, but I would love to make sure you open this listing. And I'd be like, what? How could your agent or your agent's team not be available on this day to show you homes? Like, do you realize somebody else could be looking at your dream property? Get in my car. Let's go. Yeah. Because the agent's not flexible. You can't tell a buyer that they can't buy a home on a certain day. That's not cool. You need to have a partner, a friend, a buyer's agent, a showing agent, an assistant, a spouse, whoever it is. Make sure you're available to see homes, because buyers will stray, and that's just the way it is. And then ask the dang question, and it's this very same question. Mr. and Ms. Smith, if I found you your perfect home today, would you buy it? So many agents are afraid to say that, and I don't know why. Like, our job is to sell a damn home. Why wouldn't we ask the people? Like I'm not going to go into I don't even know how to explain. Like, when I go into Nordstrom's and that person's going to come up to you and say, what can I help you with today? I'm pretty serious. If I'm looking for a sport coat, I'm going to say I'm looking for a sport coat and I want to buy one. Most people's normal reaction is to say, I'm just previewing, I'm just looking. Okay, that's cool. And we invite you to look and have a really good time doing that. However, if we were to find you that sport coat that fits perfectly, that's the colors you want, and it's a good deal, would you buy it? Well, yeah. It's the same thing we have to do with buyers. Because if a buyer says, no, I'm not ready to buy, I'm not really into it, what are you doing? You got to stop that, because there's people that need to, especially during COVID times, right? Like, I'm telling our team, don't work with looky-loos. Look with people that have to buy and sell. Yes, there's people that want to buy and sell, but look for people that have to buy and sell first, at least. Then move on to those other people, because you're never going to have a big pipeline of buyers if you're working with people that are just getting ready. No, that's not how we're going to do that. 21-point plan, just like a listing presentation, you must have a seller presentation or a buyer presentation too, that's going to show them like really what you do to find homes for your buyer. Because if you're a buyer and it just says, oh, I'm just going to wait for the right home to come on the market and you'll get the email. No, the buyers aren't like that. Ruby, that app is called Millions Mapped. So the 21-point plan, and you could have a 7, a 10. Like the other day I tried to do that. And this is the exact reason why my buyer presentation is not done. Because I looked at what we currently have and I'm like, okay, first of all, we don't really sound that intriguing as a buyer's agent. So I have to like sit down and think of more things to put on there. But when you guys saw the listing presentation the other day, we have 21 things that we do to get a home sold. And that's another old Mike Ferry thing. Like I said, it could be 10, it could be 121, it doesn't matter. But you need to know, the buyers need to know that you're doing something all day, every day. What does that mean? Well, I'm door knocking for you, right? I'm holding open houses for you. I'm doing mailers for you. I'm calling every agent in the Valley for you. I'm sending handwritten letters to people. What else can you be doing? I'm talking to, network groups, whatever. But you need to show that buyer that you're doing that. All right, let's move on. Hope that makes sense, guys. So ways to show property, and I think we're going to get into a little bit of a duplication here. So in the MLS, and I know most of us have, it'll automatically send a property to a buyer. Now, I like what our team is doing because back in the day, we didn't have YLOPO and Commissions Inc. and all these really cool programs that we did today. We just had the MLS that sent you homes as they came on the market. But I'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm going to set you up for an automatic email too, because I can't know about every home that comes on the market. So possibly your dream home might get emailed to you, but this is a team. We work together. I want you to look at your email and I want you to reply and say, Mike, yes or no, or maybe, or let's go see it. Just communicate with me. That way I know that you saw every home as it comes on the market. Now it has to come to me too, because if I'm busy out listing property and I miss a home that comes on the market, oh crap. So this is a double safe way to make sure you don't miss properties. Buyers are going to look and you're going to look. So it's pretty awesome that way. All right, drive by all of them first. We already talked about that. Picking 3 guys. What a duplicate of a slide. Cars are very important, you guys. Another massively debatable thing. The new normal might be around a little bit, but I loved putting buyers in my cars. I really, truly did. I got to bond with them. I got to get to know them. I got to know their family. I got to see their facial expressions driving around. I got to learn so much about my buyers. And the only way to do that is put them in your car. So if you're going to have 3 homes, put them in your car. And if you only can meet people, that's fine. But I'll tell you what, even in the last 10 years, right? I own, right in my car right now, a BMW 740. It is the nicest car available to show property in for most buyers. It's very low to the ground. It's very comfortable. Air conditioning works. It's just everything you need in a car to show property. Although I've probably had 3 of them and I've never put a buyer in one, but just in case. So I've always believed that cars are really important. You don't have to spend the money to get the brand new one that's 150 grand or whatever. You could get a nice used one that's 3 years old. Like I'm about to turn mine in, and somebody's going to pick up one of the nicest cars on the planet for $40,000. You can go buy a brand new Hyundai or Honda Civic or whatever for 40 grand, or you can buy a gently used badass vehicle showing mobile. So don't debate me on that. Just have a nice car, because I know what it's like to be crammed in the back of a Honda Civic with McDonald's cups all over the place and it's dirty and sticky. Buyers want to get out of that situation. They're like, this is not cool. This is not how I want to spend my weekend. So make your buyers comfortable in your car, like I just said. Explain everything in the car. And that's the other reason. Explain the neighborhoods, explain the areas. You'd be surprised how many times I've been able to sell somebody a home on their first time out because I was able to make them feel comfortable and confident about the area that they were looking in. That was nice. If I would have just met them at a property and sent them off on their own, they would have never learned about the area. They would never learn the proximity to schools and shopping and what I really like about the areas and what they might like about the areas. So I'd say this always too, send everything to me. And obviously the best script is don't call the agents, because then you're going to get a bunch of agents calling you. I mean, seriously, there's some good damn agents out there, and if they get a hold of your buyer when you're not answering your phone, oh, it's a nightmare. So I tell them, and then this is, of course, remember me, I'm a dinosaur. We used to literally look by homes and land magazines and real estate magazines, and you'd go to the Denny's or the local dry cleaner, and there's like 20 different newspapers and all this stuff. So I'd say, you guys, put everything in a pile, fax it to me, call me about it, and just let me answer all the questions, because the buyer inevitably, and I know this to be true because I just did it last week when I was looking for that beach house I was telling you about. I go, there's got to be something else on the market. And that's what the buyers think too. So I go, listen, you're going to find things that I haven't told you about. And there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, those things are already sold, which is probably. Number two, it could be an upcoming pocket listing. Or number three, it could be something that just was wrong in the MLS. I mean, number four, So I'd say anything that you guys compile that looks interesting, call me, send it to me. New construction, I'm sure there's a couple of people on this call that have lost buyers to new construction. It is probably one of the most worst feelings in the world because you know how easy it is to sell a new construction home. So I would show new construction first. I go, hey, how would you guys like a new home? No, we don't want a new home. We don't want to put all that in there. And I'd always say this, I'd say, let's at least look at the new one. I'd like to see what you think about the floor plans, and we can knock out 3 or 4 at once. And I just want to get a feel and a vibe for what you do and don't like about a home. And by the way, although you don't want to do landscaping and put this and that in, there's a very good chance that I could negotiate that in the purchase price for you, which is better because now you get to finance all this stuff over 30 years instead of trying to get a second or spending cash on it. This way you get to do things the way you want to do. That way, I would never lose a buyer to new construction. I would take them to every new construction that fits their price range and their criteria, and I would sign them up. And that way I wouldn't have to worry about that. And search all statuses too. This is a big one that I beat the heck out of people on this all the time, because just because you're searching active doesn't mean people are not willing to sell homes. So countless times, canceled, withdrawns, expireds, have been sold before ever coming back into the MLS. So when somebody's looking for a home that fits, this certain criteria, I will pull up the canceled, I will pull up the expireds, and there's a very good chance that I could sell those homes. And and you want a really good tip, my expired script is just that. Hey, Mr. Smith, I saw your home just came off the market. I was thinking about previewing it for a showing this week. Are you still going to sell this home, or should I just forget it even ever existed? And they'd be like, yeah, no, if you have a buyer, yeah, I want to sell my home still. Great. It'll take me just a few minutes to see the home so I can explain the features and benefits to my potential buyer. Would now or this afternoon be better? Boom, in the door, listing expires like crazy. Hope that helped. Okay, in the house. Showing the house is a really, really, really fun thing to do. Now, what do you guys think? Like, I always ask this question, and I say, if you have 3 homes, are you going to show the worst one first or the best one first? And the answer to that is, because of time testing and proving, show the best first. Because here's what you say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm going to show you the best home first. And that's the one I think you should buy based on what you've told me. Sure, we'll see number 2 and 3. Just so you know, number 1 is the one because of all this stuff. If you show them the worst one first, then they always think the next one's going to be better. It's very similar to when you work with one of the spouses. And I'll fight with you guys all day long on this. Well, the husband's out of town, and he said that the wife can pick the house or vice versa. Bull crap. I've never seen that. I never will. And it's BS. Because what happens is you show the wife or the husband 20 houses, you narrow it down to 3, you show the spouse the 3, and they go, cool, I love these houses. What else you got? It's just human nature. So stop doing that. Always show the best one first. Don't show the obvious. Nobody can depreciate their value as a real estate agent faster. And it's simple. You see it on the home shows all the time. And this is the kitchen, and this is the backyard. No shit, they know that. That's why if you watch beachfront bargain hunters, they're the best, because they go out in the backyard, the front yard, wait, and then they meet up with the people later. And that's the best way to do it. Let them explore. Let them open cabinets. Let them do whatever they want. But if you literally follow a buyer around the house, it's going to annoy them. I promise you that. Agents will say, but Mike, I want to hear what they're saying about the house. I want to see their facial expression. I get it. It's just a simple few questions that you ask them, but give them space. If you want to hear and see, just at least get in the other room. And do not lie. Just don't lie to people. When they say, is this blank? You say, I don't know, if you don't know. There's been a couple times where I've lost a lot of money and a lot of buyers because I got caught in lies. When I was new, I had commission breath. I was trying to pay my rent. And this one house in particular, I always talk about it. The hill slope went up the back, and the whole street did. And they paid, do you own the slope? And I said, well, yeah, it's fenced. Yeah, it's yours. And I looked at the neighbors, same, looked at the neighbors, same, sure. But what I found out is it wasn't. It belonged to the house above. And these people wanted to put in like a little water slide, and they wanted to put a little sitting area up there. And I lost the deal, and I lost the buyers because I lied. All I had to say was, I'm not sure. It looks this way. I'd kind of like to assume that, but don't hold me to it. Let me do my job, right? So don't lie. Make a list of all questions. So when I am showing the home, this is the one and only time, you guys, I love paper. I get extra MLS printouts, and if you're really cool, you'll have a little folder for them to write on. And there's a lot of these things. There's little questionnaires. There's little house 1, house 2, house 3, and I love all those things. But you just say, what do you love about this house? What do you hate about this house? I need to get to know what you love. And then you're writing lists, and they're writing lists, and you're writing down questions, and they're writing down questions. So at the end of it, if you don't take the pressure away of like, Mike, how old is the air conditioner? What about the spa equipment? What about this and that? And if you don't take all that pressure off them, the house might seem like too much of a project. So try to have them express all those concerns and don't let them keep them all bottled up. Because when you're having a really good communication, things flow a lot faster and quicker than you think. Here's the thing, let them fill out on the MLS sheets. Like, write down the questions, write down the answers. It works really good. And then I'll tell you my other trick, crumple trick. To this day, I promise you I would do this. Yes, I'm awesome. I have an iPad Pro. I can save them all, but there's something about when you're in a car and you say, okay, guys, what do you think about this house? And they go, oh, I just don't think it's the right house. You go, are you sure? And they go, yeah. And you just go, and you throw it at them like that and say, okay, that's not the one. I promise you, I've never come up with a better thing in the world for eliminating houses, because once you're so dramatic like that, they're like, well, okay, honey, I guess that one's not our house. And it keeps them focused on the one you really want them to focus on, or better yet, I should have said the one they should be focused on. So I hope you like that little trick. Oh, I even talked about the beach bargain hunters. That's funny. So here's our other pretty much last script that is just the best. You know, I don't know, Mike, I like all these houses. All right, if you had to pick, and I'm sure you've all heard this before, if somebody held a gun to your head, that's that question. If you had to pick which one, well, if I had to, I guess it would be this one. And why? Well, because of this. Now, you know, when you watch all those HG bargain hunting shows, you know, I hope you know they're all lies. I hope you know they never bought that house, or if they did, they bought it like 6 months before. None of that's real. But what is very real is when they have the conversations about the homes, and that's what you have to do with your buyers too. I don't like when they say, we're going to go talk about it, we'll get back to you, because I like to be part of that. And I want to know, if you had to pick which one and why. And then once we've picked one and they need to go sleep on it, then cool, at least I know which one they want. So that is a really special thing, because once they've verbally said it and said, if I had to pick, it'd be this one on Cherry Street, now you can say, great. Now, why wouldn't you make that your dream home? What's wrong with it? Is there anything wrong with it? Are you just nervous? Now you can really break that down. So if you see this process, how it works, it gets very simple to work with buyers. You show them maybe 4 or 5 homes. You maybe spend an hour with them. You say the right things. You show the homes the right way. It gets so much simpler to work with buyers. And if you don't follow this pretty much exactly, it gets very complicated. It gets hard. And now working with buyers isn't fun. Now, I had a pretty good system down, and this is it. And there's little ways I could fine tune it and show you some more stuff, but for time's sake, I'm not going to get into everything. But this primarily is the best way to show homes that work. And when we stop doing these things, the buyers go rogue. They get confused. They don't know what they want. And they're really looking for a strong agent to take them down that path. And they will go find one if that person is not you. So when you're in control, when you're giving them what they want and treating them like they want and should be, everything goes so much smoother. All right. So let's talk about real estate agents a little bit. Here's a simple thing. Be best friends with all the agents. Like, you guys got to know by now that being enemies with a real estate agent sucks, because no matter what agent you get in a fight in with, you're going to need to write an offer on one of their properties the next day, and they're going to throw it away. Agents are like that. They don't care. They don't care about nothing. They will throw your offer in the trash if they don't like you. So if you're a top producing agent, be even nicer to the newer agents. If you're a newer agent, be damn nice to the top producing agent, and just be friends with everybody, because the reality is when I write an offer on any agent's home in this town, for the most part, we've had our run-ins, but for the most part, they're like, cool, Mike, I'd love to work with you. Professional, honest, get the deals closed, never hide anything, never BS me. Yeah, I'd love to do business with you. And I always get to know the agents a little bit, and I get to know what I have in common with them. And you know, who knows, someday they might be on my team. So I want to be friends with all these agents. Okay, multiple offers. So you have you have 2 homework assignments already, or is it 3? 3? Yeah, scripts, mastery video, find your presentation, and this is number 4. I have 2, for God's sakes, 2 classes on getting your offer accepted. One I did with Carrie Shull, who's an amazing agent out of East Coast. I think she's like number 2 agent in the country or something like that. And then I did my own, how to get your offer accepted every time. Agents, promise you watch that video or listen to that podcast, you will sell more homes. So just take the hour and do it, but be ready for multiple offers. When writing offers, there's pretty simple tricks. Like, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, let's write the offer on this home. And if you don't, would you be upset if somebody took it? And this is where you really want to pay attention and listen. And they go, no, I wouldn't be upset if somebody took it. And then I'll say, if it's a $500,000 house, I'll say, well, what if somebody got it for $475,000? Would that make you more upset? And then they're like, I don't know. You think we can get it at $475,000? I go, I think we can, but let's make sure, right? So you have to have language, and there's a lot of sales language that you guys should be looking at. There's NLP, there's just sales techniques. There's so many sales books, and this is where it comes to an hour a day of skill set, where it's a really, really big thing to use certain language. And it's not tricking somebody, it's just helping them make good decisions, because sometimes we need a little push to get the house that you want, right? Highest and best, they got to figure all that out. Oh, this is stupid. Show them, write them. Yeah. So the agents, like, when you're writing highest and best with an agent, you just have to simply ask them, come on guys, what is it going to take? What do you need me to do to get this thing done? Show them everything you possibly can, like for reals. Show them a credit report and just highlight or scratch out the actual social security number. But when I see a credit report and I see an 850 FICO score, or if I see a pre-qual from some agent I've never heard of or seen, or lender I've never seen, I'm like, oh no, I like the credit report. So give them everything they could have. Show them the proof of funds. Show them multiple proof of funds in case something happened. They actually have more than one multiple offer proof of funds. Shower the agents with gifts, and shower the people with gifts. There's nothing wrong. And I've had people write letters and just say, I cannot believe that we're writing an offer on your home. It's so nice. And thank you for letting us come in. It was so pretty, and have flowers delivered. Like, you send me flowers or a gift, your offer is going to the top. It's just human nature. Not that I want that, but it's going to happen. And when agents spend time, like, I think Larry's on this call, my team leader, we had 4 offers, I think, right there on this house last week. And him and I had the discussion, man, this one girl, she wrote this offer like really good with everything I wanted to see in it. And it was a contingent offer, but she did such a good job at presenting the offer and getting it put together that I was pretty much convinced that we should take a contingent offer over some of the other ones, because I just felt so comfortable in it, and she just made everything feel right. So none of that. Giving a bonus to the other agent, you can always do that. I had a person just a couple days ago do that to me. He said, Mike, I'll give you a bonus if you get this offer accepted for me. Nothing wrong with that, right? I didn't take it. I didn't want it, but that's kind of the way it is. Professional in every way, including her pre-qual. Oh yeah, it's Larry. Yeah, see, it's a big deal. This is real. You guys are looking at the comments. So these types of things also come in those other podcasts. And let's see, I think this is about it for the day. The lender matters, right? So when I'm writing an offer, I'll say to them, listen, Tim, I know that you use blank, or I don't know who you use, but I would love to get my buyer double apped with your lender to make you feel that much more comfortable. When somebody says that to me, I'm like, all right, cool. Now, so we do double app, or at least ask for the lender package on every buyer for every property we get. But if somebody says that to me, Mike, don't even worry. Whoever your lender is, we'll double app with. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Because 9 times out of 10, the lender's like, oh, I don't want to give a package. Well, and then you break it down, you find out at the last second, oh, there is something a little wrong. They're just hoping they're going to get it through. So it's kind of stupid. I hate that. All right, some key points. Talk daily to your buyers, you guys. Talk daily. Just call them and say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's Mike. Today I door knocked. I did an open house for you. I send handwritten notes. I called 50 of the top producing agents. I didn't find the home today, but I'm going to tomorrow. I'm going to try like hell tomorrow. The buyers, when I've done that over the years, are like, Mike, that is so awesome. And as a matter of fact, I've had buyers without an agency agreement that have said, we were talking to a couple of different agents over the past, Mike, but we're not anymore because you call and tell us every single day what you're doing to get us our home. Don't let yourself get in the way. This is, oh God, this should be a whole chapter of something by itself. Many times when I'm training and coaching people on my team, I say, hey, I'll just use Larry since I know he's watching this. Larry, why didn't you show this home on Cherry Street? And he goes, I don't think they're going to like that home. It's got this, that, and the other. I'm like, oh, okay. First of all, you need to go show that home. Don't you make the decision for the buyer. You don't know why they might fall in love with this house. You don't know that their best friend lives next door. You don't know. Don't make important decisions for your buyer. I've seen it so many times. I didn't think you were going to like that house. How did you buy it with another agent? Oh, well, you didn't say anything about it, and so did. So, and a lot of times too, you go, well, I would never buy this piece of crap house. It's got green carpet, it's got this, it needs that, it needs all this stuff. I would never personally want this house, so my buyers must not want it. Oh, you guys, that's not the way this works. The buyers get to pick, not you. So don't get in your own way. Do not get lazy. Laziness will kill you as a buyer's agent. So many times, just the other day, as a matter of fact, I was looking in the MLS, which I hardly ever do, and I saw this property. I'm like, you know what? I wonder if so-and-so would like that property. I haven't talked to them in a while. And I was totally lazy. And then like an hour later, they called me, hey, I just saw this house on Zillow that came up. I'm like, Jesus, I should have called. I was just being lazy. But there's so many different ways to be lazy as a buyer's agent. Never give up. A lot of people give up on buyers, and you can't give up on buyers because there's something. If they have to buy a home, they have to buy a home, but don't go like, God, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they're so picky, they're never going to buy a home. Every time I've said that, they've bought a home the next day. It's just crazy. If the motivation's there and you've done your job to find them a place, it's going to work. Don't give up. Don't bug people with no value. I mean, don't ever call a buyer unless you're giving them something of value, even if it's an update. Always have a partner. I told you about that. Be available 24/7. We talked about that. And do what it takes to find them homes. That's pretty much it, you guys. Oh yeah, treat the buyer like a listing because they are a listing. They're as a matter of fact, a lot of times they're more money because we don't have to cut commissions. A lot of times when we take listings, we take less commission, and it's just a fact, and that's the way it is. So if you get them to sign an agency agreement, or even if you get them to shake your hand or give you a hug and say they're going to be loyal, then that's all you need right there. So, okay, guys, I hope you liked that. Let me look at this question and answer thing. Yes, I would love dedicated to the buyer broker agreement. Yes, I would love a week. I don't know about a week, but we can do a class on the buyer broker agreement. But as a matter of fact, go watch that video, the buyer mastery part 1 or 2. I'm not sure which one it is, or the live presentation where I've done that, and you're going to see how to get somebody on a buyer broker agreement. Okay, guys, I think that's it for today. We're doing really good on time. If you have any questions, fire them in right now. Otherwise, go make it a very beautiful, powerful week. And I hope you guys your heads are back to normal, and I hope you guys are rocking and rolling. And homework again. All right, let's try to see if we can remember that. First thing was go over the buyer conversion scripts on the YouTube channel. There's 2 videos that each have 2 or 3 scripts on it. And the second thing was watch the buyer mastery video. Well, there's 3 of those, right? There's the actual buyer presentation that I do on the YouTube channel, and then there's buyer mastery part 1 and 2. So there's a lot. Next thing to do is get your listing presentation or your buyer presentation put together and send that over to me. And I'll send you guys mine as soon as it's done. It's getting closer. And then, of course, you can Google them. They're everywhere on the internet. What was the last one? I don't know. What else was there, guys? I don't know. Oh, so Dawn, good question about the escalation clause. Oh, that was the other homework. Good job. See how perfect that worked out. So in the other one, there's 2 on the podcast, 2 on how to get your offer accepted every time. We talk a lot about escalation offers. To answer your question real quick, yes, escalation offers is very important and key. So do that, but also make sure you listen to those because there's probably about 10 other tips that'll help you guys on there. All right, you guys are awesome. Love you all. Thank you. Have a beautiful week. Call me if you need me. Check in with me. Keep your heads up. Keep your mind strong. Keep your buyers and sellers all excited, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care, guys.